Hello, and welcome to the final of our 5 tips in 5 days. Uh, who would have thought we would have just disappeared in time like this? It's been a fantastic week, and it's great to have you join me. Um, Now, this week we've covered a number of subjects in each tip, from making sure that you've got the right dismissal and probation periods procedures, in place, that you know who works for you and on what contract, to understanding what strengthened employee rights might look like, and that you're prepared for an inspection. Now, today we're going to take a look at tip 5, which is all about making sure your managers have effective training in place and that you're keeping abreast of all the latest news and changes. Now, arguably, this is one of the most important tips out of the 5, because it's all about your managers and you. You know, managers have an incredibly important role in an organization, and they can either make an organization what it is, or they can really affect the culture internally. Hopefully yours is an organization where you have managers that are really truly making it a great place to work. But there still could be things that you need to take a look at. And as usual, out these few tips, I've got a couple of questions for you up front. So first one is, are you and your managers aware of what your responsibilities are as a manager? And also what red flags you should be looking for? What things might you need to be looking out for? And then the second question is, once you've identified or seen a red flag or a situation that you're not comfortable with or think action needs to be taken about, do you know what to do? Where do you go? What's the next steps for you in your company? Now, effective training isn't just about ticking a box to say that you've got some training in place. I mean, that's the start. It's as long as it's relevant information that you're imparting, but does it really make them aware of their responsibilities when it comes to managing people? Does it give them the tools to be able to undertake their role more effectively? And you might need to go a wee bit further than that, depending on the organization that you're in and the type of business that you have. Now, through the other tips I've covered today, we've kind of seen that the tone of employment law is likely to change over the coming years, with the balance of power shifting more in favour of employees rather than in the companies, as it has been of late. Now, that is what it is. We need to be prepared and ready for that. And you need to be thinking about what that means for you then internally, and be prepared, because it could very well influence the employee relations in your organisation, maybe the workflows that you have internally, and certainly your procedures and internal practices will need to be reviewed and updated. Now, in terms of keeping up to date with what actually happens and we'll chat about that in a moment. But let's have a think about training for your managers. Well, the things that I would do, or the things that I would recommend you do, is first off, just see what you've already got in place. Is the training that you have, if you have training, if you don't, then you know. But if you do have training in place, what's it covering? Is it mostly about health and safety, the technical aspects of their position? And do you cover anything in relation to leading a team, things to look out for, your internal procedures, or not? So do that review and be aware of where you are today. Then think about, well, the first place that you can start with is making sure your managers are aware of your internal procedures. We talked about a number of them in tip 1. That could be a start place in terms of dismissal and probation procedures. Both of those are incredibly important. But what about sickness absence, capability? And what if somebody were to raise a grievance? What would they do? What's the process? So I would certainly recommend that's a good start point for you in terms of training. And then think about beyond that, beyond the procedure, because as I said, managers do have an incredibly important role in a business. There will be other aspects that you'll want to make them aware of, give them tools that they have at their ready disposal, things around communicating with confidence. Are they able to communicate with their team confidently or others in the company? About resolving conflict, how might that go about? How might they do that in your organization? And what about things like recruiting? Because have they been trained, got the right skills? Do they know what questions they should and should not be asking? Those are all things that you can cover. And there are a number of other things as well, but those are a good start point for you. Now, that's your manager population, but what about you as a business owner? What can you be doing? Well, my advice to you is do the same training as your managers. If you know and you're showing what it's like, you're leading from the front, you know what to look out for and how to signpost, then you can make sure that your managers are doing the same and following the same procedures. Beyond that, make sure you've got good sources of information in place to help you. You know, those sources could be what newsletters do you have available? What events are you going to or could you go to? Are there any briefings or seminars coming up, either online or in person, that would help you? And I'm here to help as well at the HR department. I can also be a support for you. You know, sign up to my newsletter if that would be helpful. I'll put the link in the comments. There's always a range of subjects in there that you could take and use either immediately or in the future. Follow my page on LinkedIn, which is the HR department, Carlisle and Morecambe. You can always book a no obligation call with me, just have a quick chat to check in and see where you are. Plus also join me in September on the 3rd to chat about the Employment Rights Bill in more detail, and then the 17th of September to chat about the October employment law changes, which will be coming into effect. Now, it's been a lot this week. Again, the recordings are available on my profile for you to watch and rewatch at your leisure. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, ideas, comments and feedback on the tips that I've been covering this week. Would you like to have heard something else? If so, please do let me know. DM me, send me add a comment in the comments. That would be amazing. I've had some really great feedback and commentary so far. So thank you to everybody who's been in touch. Please keep that conversation going. And thank you for joining me this week as we took a look in this first series of 5 tips in 5 days. And I look forward to seeing you at one of the events in September. Thank you and have a great weekend.